video, new kitty. Oh, and now we have Poppy. What are you doing? What are you doing? Hey, why do all my cats ignore me? Oh, okay, that's why, okay. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Katie and you're in for a great video because I got my Golden Girls shirt on. I've got my therapist cardigan on, so I look like, basically what I'm trying to say is like I'm an 80-year-old in a 33-year-old's body. That's what I'm trying to say. So it's comfy. It's comfy. We're doing a comfy video today because I'm talking about my favorite reads of 2022. Last year I did this and I broke it off into my favorite thrillers of the year and my favorite romances of the year. However, I didn't do that this year because the majority of my books were romances, so I wouldn't have had enough to choose for thrillers. So this list is just romances, and I went through them last night and I was trying to get to like the top 10, and I really tried, I did, but I couldn't, so I got to 13. So these are my top 13 romances of 2022, and most of these I have talked about in my videos previously, so I will not go into detail about them, like what they're about or anything, except for there's one on this list that I haven't talked about yet, and I will let you guys know when I get there. But what I decided to do, I was watching Oh Hey, It's Michae, and she did one-line reviews for every book that she read last year, which was brilliant. I love that video so much. I will link it for you guys. But I was like, I can do that because I only have 13. So what I decided, instead of like one-line reviews, I just have one-line sentence of what I liked about the book. Whether it was like the atmosphere, the character, or something, whether or not you get it, because if you haven't read the book, you might not get it, but there's no spoilers. Good for me. But it is just like a one-line sentence of what I liked about the book, because I don't want to be here talking forever. So let's just get into my top 13 books of 2022. I'm also doing these chronological, except for my last book. I should reiterate, the last book that I talk about is my top read of 2022. It is my favorite. It is by far the favorite book that I read this past year. I loved it. Nothing compared to it. So that book I will talk about last. All the other books are going to be talked about chronologically, starting from January to December. So the first book of 2022 that I read and loved was The Simple Wild by K.A. Tucker. What I liked about this book, in one sentence: the atmosphere. If any book will get you to move to Alaska, to visit Alaska, it's going to be this book. Need I say more? No, but I will, just a little bit. Also, Jonah and Kala. I love their relationship. I loved her relationship with her father, Simple Wild, but mostly for the atmosphere that was the Alaskan outback. Was it the Alaskan outback? Is there a thing called Alaskan outback, or am I thinking of the Australian outback? Now I don't know. But the atmosphere for this book was what I loved most about it. The next book is Brutal Prince. Sophie Lark came into my life last year, and I read the first two in the series, and I loved it. But this one, by far, was my favorite, which is funny because most people's is Stolen Air, but no, this one. One sentence why I loved it: strawberries. I don't think I need to say anything else but strawberries and Ava. Ava was the girl, right? My gosh, I'm really hoping. I wrote it down as Ava, and I'm pretty sure it's Ava. Ada? It's Ada. It's not Ava. It's Ada. But Ada was fierce. And strawberries. Excuse me, Charlie. You were in my last video. And now you want to be in this one again. You are a camera hog, aren't you? The next book I don't own, but it was The Confidence of Wildflowers by Michae Smeltzer. And I know people didn't like this book. I know people didn't like the second book, but I do, so I'm including it. So it's the whole duet. I loved it. I loved those books. And what I love most about those books, Thayer, who is the hero in the series duet, it's a duet, makes like a gym in his basement for Salem, who's the heroine. So she doesn't have to go out running early in the morning because he's like, that's not safe. I think that's beautiful and that's cute, and I loved it. I mean, that's not what I loved most about it, but that like sticks out in my brain. The next book I also don't own, but it is Corrupt by Penelope Douglas, and what I loved most about this, the sauna scene. The sauna scene. If you know, you know. If you don't, you're missing out. I hate to tell you. But the sauna scene. I absolutely loved that scene. The next book, really? Breathe. Okay. The next book was Hooked by Emily McIntyre, and this was the first book in her Never After series. So it's basically like the villains of our favorite stories getting their happy ending, and this was a Peter Pan loose retelling. The reason why I loved this book is because the whole time I was picturing Killian from Once Upon a Time, Hook from Once Upon a Time. And anytime a book can get me to think of that man, it's going to be a good time. I liked Once Upon a Time, the first season. I liked it. It was good. But once Hook came on the scene, I loved that show. That man is gorgeous. So anytime a book will get me to think of him, it's okay with me. And there is a quote. There is a sentence at the end of this story that just gets me. It gets me every time. I even saved it. Where is it? Okay, I can't find it, but I could have sworn I tabbed it. But it's about her saying, are you going to burn down the world or whatever? And he's like, no, I'm going to like light the match and let you do it. Because I'm like, yeah, of course you would. Okay. But that's Hook. The next one is another one that I do not own. I've read a lot on Kindle this past year. It is what it is. But It Ain't Me Babe by Tilly Cole, which was a motorcycle club romance. And my favorite thing about that was just the heroine. The heroine's character development. We see her start from escaping a religious cult all the way to the end of the book, where she is like the main old lady of the motorcycle club's like president. So it's quite the development over the book, but I loved it. And like their romance is great too, don't get me wrong, but it was just like I loved watching her develop over the whole book. The next book is Twisted Love by Anna Huang. Okay, the thing I love most about this book, the hotel scene. The hotel scene with the phone call. If you know, you know. I loved that. That lives rent-free in my head. As long, like, with the, like, sauna scene. But, like, there's just some scenes that stick out in your brain, and for some reason, this one never left. I have not continued the series yet, but I plan on it. And, I don't know, I loved it. For what it was, for this book, I loved it. The next book is one I also don't own, and it is physically owned, and it is Love Me Later by G. Colgrove. This was a Friends to Lovers, and you know I don't love Friends to Lovers. It's like my least favorite trope, but I was okay with this one. I liked it. What I loved most about it, though, was the way that she handled the heroine's infertility and the way that it was talked about in the book and the way that the characters had to communicate about it, because communication is key. Now, don't get me wrong. There was that stupid third act breakup and about not communicating, which I'm not a fan of, but the way she fixed it, I was a fan of. So that is a trigger warning for this book. There's probably trigger warnings for all these books, but I haven't said anything about them, so. But just know that infertility is talked about in that book. The next book is Praise by Sarah Kate. That feels weird. I never hold books there. Okay, over here. One word. Say it with me. Emerson. That is what I loved about this book. Daddy Emerson. And like, it's a shame that these are all getting like redone covers, because the fact that you can't look at Daddy Emerson anymore is a crime. But just know, if you haven't read these books yet and you're into age gap, ex-boyfriends, fathers, consent, he's the king of consent and we love it. So just like, here, take it, go. It's on Kindle Unlimited. Go read it. Do yourself a favor and go read it. Next was Off to the Races by Elsie Silver. Okay, look, last year I started this series. Everyone else was like reading Flawless and Heartless. No. I'm still making my way through this series. I am not doing Flawless and Heartless until I read this series, even though they're not connected. It's my brain. I just can't do it. But what I love most about this, I love Vaughn and I love Billy and I loved how they met. Their meeting in the beginning was so funny because he thinks that she is there because his mom sent her there because he needs a date. She's like trying to get him to get married, have a girlfriend, get married. And he's like, no, you can just turn your pretty little butt around. You don't need to be here, blah, blah, blah. And really she's here to be the new horse trainer for his ranch. And when they're like negotiating at the contract, she goes, do you think I could get a raise? And he's like, why? And she's like, because I have a pretty little butt. It was just, I loved it. I loved it. She's sassy. He's would do anything, and I loved it. The next book is one I also don't own, but it is Perfect Strangers by J.T. Is it Geisinger or Geisinger? Oh, I still don't know to this day how to say her last name. I am so sorry. But this book, okay, I can't even tell you what the book is about. Like, I can, but I don't want to. I'm going to tell you what I loved about it, and it was that ending. I was thrown for a loop, and then another loop, and then like another loop. Wasn't expecting that. Was not expecting. I thought I was getting just like a romance, which I was off like ready for, and then I got that, and now it was just like the cream, like of the crop, like that ending. Oh, that's all I can say. So if you haven't read it, read it. Just know it's not like a conventional HEA, but it is ish. Okay, the next book is one that I haven't talked about on my channel yet, but it is A Little Bit Wicked by Melissa Foster, and this is the first book in the Wicked's Dark Nights at Bayside. Yeah, so this is a friends to lovers, which we all know is not my favorite trope, but I love this book. I love this man. Okay, Justin. Justin is friends with Chloe, and they've been friends for a while. He is a member of the Dark Knights motorcycle club in this town. I have to tell you a little bit because I haven't talked about this one yet. And they've been friends. Now, Chloe has sworn off any type of motorcycle man at all because growing up, that's all that her mother would bring home. And let's just say they weren't the best men. So she has sworn off any type of ruggedly tattooed motorcycle men, and she always goes for like clean cut men. And he knows, he's like, you, because they're friends, and he's like, they are not right for you. He falls first. He's head over heels for her, and eventually something happens to where they spend like a night just talking, and she's like, well, you know what, I have pushed down my feelings for him for so long that, you know, let's just try it. And then they try it, and it's a beautiful thing. Okay, there's a scene in this book. So she has a book club. She has a smutty book club, which we love to see. We love to see a smutty book club in a smutty book. And she was planning to take the book club to the beach. Well, it rained, so she couldn't take him to the beach. He shows up at her house where she's having the book club meeting with all his motorcycle friends, and they have sand. They brought sand from the beach to her house so they could put it on the back patio so she could have her book club. Look, he would do anything for her. Anything. And I absolutely love it. Like, I love, if you have not read any Melissa Foster yet, do yourself a favor and do it. Start with this book. Start with this series. Like, he will melt your heart and make you tingle in all the right places. And lastly, the last was not even last. This is Michae. My favorite read of 2022 is from a new to me author. I had not read any of her books until I read this one, and now that I have, I am a fan. I am a stan. I will read her grocery list if I need to. Are we ready? You probably know, but I'm leaving you in suspense. A Love Letter to Whiskey. I read this copy, and then I bought this copy. And this is a special edition if you don't know. This has our hero's point of view in the back. But this is just our heroine's point of view. I don't know what to say about this book that I haven't already said on this channel, like all year. I read this in July, and it rocked my world. I don't know how to tell you. Like, this is another Friends to Lovers. Who am I? Who would have thought that my favorite book of the year would be a Friends to Lovers?
Could you imagine?
Okay, but it is. This is your classic right person, wrong time. So many wrong times. It pissed me off how many wrong times. But it's angsty. You just want them to be together. Like, you just wanted them to get together. Now, this does have an HEA. So, like, but I was worried. I was worried when I was reading this book because I'm like, ugh. You wanted to throw the book. I cried. Like, I bawled. I'm pretty sure I showed the clip like 5,000 times, but I'll show it again. I can't breathe. Oh. I'm a mess. It just broke me. It broke me. It put me back together. I was a new person. I became like Candy's stalker. Like, yeah, I mean, her on Instagram. Not that far. But listen, if you have not read this yet, please just read it. Read it. It's on KU. Do it. It's my favorite. Like, will anything top it this year? I don't know. I don't know. Will I reread it? I would like to reread it again this year, but we shall see. But those are my top 13 books of 2022. Let me know down below, what was your top read of last year? Or if you don't have like a top read, what was like one of your favorite books that you read? I would love to know. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing. If you're new, I would love for you to stick around and join the family. All my social media is linked down below. As always, my Goodreads and my Instagram if you'd like to follow me more day to day with what I am reading. But I hope you guys have a great day, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye, guys. Everyone's talking. It's great. It's a great time. You know, not me trying to film a video or anything. Not me trying to film a video or anything. Okay. I'm out of breath. Hold on. Oh my gosh. It's chasing after my cats. Corrupt by what? By I was really going to enunciate that. I was really going for it. Penelope. That's brilliant. Okay. The next book, really? Why is my eye burning? Why is my eye burning? I'm having technical difficulties.